Hey guys, it's the Captain here on Andertons TV, and we've got another split screen interview from around the world. Gus G, who is at home in Greece at the moment, and we've got him live on Skype here. So hey man, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm really good, yeah, really good. And I'm so happy that we have the technology to be able to do this, because otherwise, we wouldn't be speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get the obvious out the way. You are presumably unable to travel at the moment, and you're at home in Greece.
Yes.
So how is life? How are you and your family? And
we're all good, thank you. We've did this quarantine thing for a couple of months almost. So yeah, everyone is in good health. We followed the strict government measures that we were given, and now here the lockdown measures are being lifted, and we're just basically preparing for the summer season. As you know, Greece is a tourist country, but I don't think there's going to be much of it this year.
No. Oh man, you never know. Maybe there'll be some real amazing last-minute opportunities to get out to, because you're on the mainland, aren't you, in Greece?
I'm on the mainland. I'm in Thessaloniki, which is like the second biggest city. Athens is the capital, so we're like up in the north part of the mainland. Yeah. And how are things there?
Well, we are. I think we're probably somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks behind what has typically happened in Europe. So we think we're past the peak of the rate of infection, and we're certainly starting to see the number of people who are passing away going down.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the UK, like Spain and Italy and particularly the US, seem to get hit particularly hard by this, way more than other countries around the world. So perhaps they're being a little bit more cautious about how soon the restrictions are being lifted. I can't remember. Have you got kids?
I don't. I have cats.
You don't. You have cats, because that's the killer for us, is that we're not expecting schools to be back to normal till probably September. So
the year is done basically. Schools they're closed now. Yeah.
So that's even if other restrictions are lifted, it's like life can't really go back to normal until your kids are back in education. Right. But I'm a little bit like you. I'm counting my blessings. Family is all well, good. And business has actually been pretty good for us on the internet. So that's I get this little. I get the opportunity to come and talk to people like you and still interact, which is great for my sanity.
Normally I would have been over there to your place and visit you there and hang out, but we can't do that now. But yeah.
So, I know just before we started, we said we'd try and keep this whole conversation, as upbeat as possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the timing of the lockdown and all the travel restrictions couldn't really have come at a worse time for you, could it? So tell us about what the plans would have been and how you're trying to find alternative ways to deal with it.
Well, here's the thing. Back in December, I was working on this new Firewind album that we just released. We managed to release it, and we were like, this is like pre-coronavirus, right? So we're looking at tight deadlines, and I went through my band went through a major lineup change in the midst of the production. So a new singer came in mid-December, and we started writing stuff and recording vocals, and the deadline was mid-February for everything, mix, master, artwork, the whole delivering all the parts that you need to deliver to the record label. Because we had the plan to release it on the 15th of May and embark on a long world tour, starting in North America. So it's kind of funny, how you work hard to stressing with deadlines and the mixing and the mastering and all, getting all the details, and then oops, everything stops, everything canceled. But you know what? We managed to stick to the plan with a release date, at least. So the new Firewind album did come out on May 15th, which was a few days ago. And, you know, like you said, you know, I'm keeping the positive things out of this because even though, you know, right now it should be on tour in America, at least, you know, we got to release the new music and, you know, we have the technology, we have, you know, now we can keep in touch with our fans online and people are getting to hear the new stuff, which is wonderful, yeah.
What's the, have all the venues been quite good about just saying, fine, we'll just do the tour in 2021, or has it had to just be completely cancelled and you'll relook at it at some point in the future?
The last I spoke to the booking agent, we were looking at we had like this tour with Symphony X, and which is a great band, you know, Michael Romeo, great guitar player, and Primal Fear, and it was good, pretty sick package, you know, for those that are into this type of power prog metal, you know. So the whole package is being postponed to 2021. I haven't heard exactly which month it's going to be. I think the booking agent is working hard on this right now. But really, man, it's like, who knows? Because I've been talking to other people, and they're like, well, what's the plan? What's the plan? And I'm like, well, if scientists can't tell us, you know, what's gonna happen, I don't think any promoters or venue owners will know, you know, like, oh, well, March 2021, you should be able to do shows. And like,
don't. Can you imagine? Well, look, I think, you know, you will be, you know, one of a large number of artists whose income for 2020 was going to be largely based on what tours they could do. Mm-hmm. And I hope, and I suppose I should probably start this myself, really. You know, I hope that now people who choose to listen to new music at the moment will think twice about using a streaming service maybe for it. And maybe, you know, if you were one of the Firewind fans who was thinking, I will buy a ticket to go and see them when they're touring near me, the next best thing that anyone can do, right, is just to say, well, I'll buy the album rather than stream the album. Have you done any interesting kind of, you know, have you done vinyl stuff with artwork as well, or is it CDs?
Yeah. It's a good thing you bring up, actually. Yeah, I mean, now more than ever, and I think you know, if people you know have certain bands they love and support, maybe now it's the best time to, like you said, sort of show the support by maybe buying the physical product. That'll help a lot more than just streaming, but you know, streaming is cool too. You know, I stream a lot of stuff, but and we have done we have done some really cool vinyl stuff actually. Our label has done some really cool limited vinyl stuff, which actually I think it's pretty much sold out already, which is a good which is a good thing. I don't know if they printed too small quantities or it just did so well, but I think we'll need to put up some more vinyl out there.
Oh, that's great, man. That's my one. Maybe that'll be my one lockdown kind of treat to myself, is I feel like I should go and buy a record player again and start buying, you know, for anyone of my age, you know, where I guess up until I was probably about 12 or 13 years old, kind of vinyl was the only...
Right.
For vinyl and cassettes.
Right.
Cassettes, that's what you need to bring back.
Dude, we've never done any
Firewind cassettes.
I would love to do cassettes. We've never done those. And I, you know, as a kid, I mean, I learned a lot of those early guitar licks and stuff from cassettes. You know, we used to copy the cassettes back then, and then like you'd accidentally rewind and then erase the part you liked.
Well, how about? I mean, you're sitting there with a very fantastic looking Jackson guitar.
Thank you.
So why don't you? Is there anything off of the new album, like your favorite riff or favorite solo off the new album, you could give us a little blast of?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I've just thrown that one at you with absolutely no prior discussion about
No, it's all good, man.
Feel free to say no, and we'll edit it out.
No, it's all good. I can play it. I'd love to play some of it. I mean,
cool.
What's the song? This. Yeah, I mean, here's like a cool riff. It's from a song called "Breakaway." It's from the new album. Something like that, yeah. So.
That's cool, man. And have you? I've not had a chance to listen to the new album yet. So is it for Firewind fans? Is it similar to previous stuff, or has the new lineup changed the vibe a lot?
Actually, we have this new singer who reminds. His voice is reminiscent of our very first singer back in the early days. So a lot of the old school fans, they really dig it. That's the vibe that I'm getting. And I mean, actually, it's the best reviewed album of our career. Like, I've never seen, and I took like a big risk doing this big change because Firewind has had a few singers already. Mm-hmm. And, I'm kind of getting that reputation of being a tyrant. But it really isn't what it looks like. But anyways, this album is doing like review wise, it's doing really well. Like a lot of 9s out of 10s and 10s out of 10s. And honestly, we've never had that before. We would usually get a lot of crap from the press, like, oh, this is nothing original, this is nothing cool. But now a lot of people seem to be digging what we're doing. I don't know. And
stylistically, I mean, obviously you're a guitar player with a phenomenal technique and known for some of the speed that you get. Where did you approach this differently? As you get older, are you feeling like you want to change your approach to playing guitar?
Yeah, I want to put on my blues suit and and grab a 59 Les Paul. I don't know.
I mean, it happens to everyone eventually.
It does, yeah. But no, the thing is, I mean, for me, like especially when it's a project like Firewind, I know what it sounds like, and like it's like this traditional metal stuff that when I pick up the guitar and I make a riff, it somehow sounds like this. Mm-hmm. But I do try to push myself and my boundaries whenever I record an album. I don't think there's any musician that you might ask and be like, well, I want my next album to be shit, So everybody tries to always one-up themselves, And I do try to, to be more creative when it comes to lead parts, solos. I always try to aim to do something that is going to make me go back and practice that part before going out there on stage and playing it. So I want to have those parts, because that means that, okay, this is like an extra level of difficulty now. Something else comes up,
I remember talking to a guitar player, Jason. Oh man, I think it's Jason Richardson. Apologies if I've got.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure that was his name.
He's an insane guitar player. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So, and he was talking about one of the dilemmas he had when he was doing solos for recorded material was not being able to do it live. So making the solo so complicated for the record that you couldn't do it live.
Yeah.
Do you have to go through that same thought process as well?
Not at the level of Jason, without a doubt. I mean, I'm definitely not at that level technique wise. I think most guitar players out there in the world are at that level. But I always like to because to me, like playing live is very important. Like I never really did albums just as a studio project and stuff. It was always like with the aim of, with intent of going out there and being a touring band. So I don't know. I always whatever it is, no matter how difficult it is, I need to make sure that I can pull it off live. It has to be. It just has to be like that. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, let's talk about the gear as well. Last time I saw you was at the NAMM show, and you had a new Jackson signature guitar as well.
Yeah.
Which was the more traditional looking sort of like a Strat style guitar.
Oh yeah. You're probably talking about
the red one.
This one here.
Yeah. So I think the white one was that last year's NAMM show.
No,
everything's going into a blur for me now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was pretty crazy at that booth, right, at the NAMM. So now we released 2 guitars this year.
Right.
Well, one is this one, this red Strat, and the other one is still this, what do you call it, star shape.
Yeah.
And we did this, we changed it up a little bit. We did the ivory color. So, with the block inlays, it looks a little bit more vintagey.
Yeah.
The chrome covers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's basically these 2 models. And then, of course, we have the different price ranges and all those things. So yeah, this is also like the new guitar. This is also one of the new ones. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. And what are you using pickups wise in there? Have you got your own pickups?
I do. I just started my own brand of pickups. It's called Blackfire pickups, and
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought because you had like a signature pickup with someone before.
I did with Seymour Duncan for years, and then
Right.
it's kind of funny because I spoke to our good friend Rob Chapman a couple of years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were talking about all these things with Rob, and I was like, dude, I was telling him basically like, I want to redesign that pickup that I've had, and I want to do more things, and I want to be able to maybe create something new. And he's like, dude, do it on your own. Just do it. Like, look at me. I did Chapman guitars, and it was, I never thought this stuff could happen. And then he sort of like, planted the seed there in my brain, like, dude. Yeah.
So are you having them? Are they being made in Greece? The pickups?
What's that?
Are you making your pickups in Greece?
No, I make them at. Rob hooked me up with the people that make. I think some of the people that make Chapman guitars, and.
Oh, cool! And
So-
what's the brand of the new pickup? Darkfire, did you say?
Blackfire.
Blackfire. And it's just like it's a passive humbucker, just like an overwound kind of humbucker, or?
Well, I start out with two models. This one here is an active model.
Okay.
So basically, it's like an Alnico 5 type of pickup, with the a preamp on it, So, and the other one on the red Strat style, the San Dimas guitar, we have a passive model.
Okay. Can we? It'd be cool to maybe just have a little listen to the difference. Is the active one more aggressive sounding?
I think, yeah, it's. I mean, they're both pretty hot pickups, but obviously the active one has more sustain and that kind of high output thing, that you have from an active pickup. So, I mean, now I'm playing through this. I'm running through one of my plugins here, which is already high gain, but I can also change it up if you want. But here we go with a high gain sound.
Oh man, your playing is so fluid. It's just, I get that with, I see the journey I think that really great players go on, and they get sort of technically better, faster, whatever you want to call it. And then there's a point at which it's not the speed it's the fluidity. It's just the fact all the notes are played at the right level, and
I know what you mean.
It's almost graceful watching you play. It's just.
Thanks. But I think it's with all players. It's like, sorry to interrupt, but it's like what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense. Like, because a lot of people say, well, what do you practice nowadays? I think the stuff that you already know, you can always play it better, and it does get better as you get older and you keep playing more of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, you add more to your vocabulary, your phrasing and stuff. But so it's interesting to hear you say that, because it is about, the fluidity comes from basically from all the time that you keep playing and you keep sort of practicing the stuff you already know.
Let's hear the red one.
Give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
All
It's
right.
funny because I remember seeing you on the Jackson stand at NAMM, and then I bumped into Misha Mansour as well, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got a Strat style guitar being done as well." It's almost like, you said about, you need to put your suit on and the 59 Les Paul. I think that it is just everybody eventually just ends up with something very, very traditional.
Well,
don't
here's
they?
the
It's
thing.
just-
You're right. I mean, this thing for me, I grew up on a Stratocaster. That was my first electric guitar. So I always wanted to have that as an alternative, at least. People know me from playing the Star Shape, and that's very connected to my image all these years. But I wanted to be able to play a Strat if I wanted to bring it off or something else, especially when I do the solo shows.
Yeah.
And I want to play something more, more hard rock or even a bit more bluesier and stuff. And And I mean, the guys at Jackson were nice enough to make this guitar for me. So
I love the fact that because Jackson and Charvel are part of the Fender kind of family, I love the fact that they don't have to worry about licensing and trademark. They can if they want to put a Fender headstock on their guitar, they just put a Fender headstock on. Yep. It's like, and it just makes it all look so cool, doesn't it? That's almost got like the slightly bigger end on it, like almost like a 70s kind of vibe, hasn't it? I know it's reversed.
I think it is a little bit bigger of a head. It's not like the 70s style, but it is a little bit bigger than the normal Fender Strat. Yeah, for sure.
It looks wicked. So can we hear a little bit of this? So this will have the passive dark fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Black fire. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're gonna hear much of a difference because it's still the same high gain sound, but
okay. You know, funnily enough, I'm actually hearing more of the acoustic string noise.
I know, yeah.
I guess you. No, but it to me the acoustic of that guitar just sounded much brighter, much snappier than the star-shaped one. So I don't know if that comes through the pickups as well. So.
Yeah, I think it has to do with that, but I think also has to do with the choice of the wood. I think it's the maple neck, and that's also another thing. I always wanted to try out a maple neck. I always played rosewood my whole life.
Yeah.
Never been a big ebony fretboard fan. It just felt too hard for my fingers, but you know, I like maple necks, so yeah, you're right. It has a different kind of snap, this one, you know.
Yeah. And I notice in the background you're still rocking the Black Star thing. I mean, that is a relationship you've had for a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing Black Stars for like more than, I think it's about 10 years now. I started 2000.
Yeah, it must be.
2010 it all started when I was recording that Aussie album, and they brought down the studio the 200 watt head they had, the Series 1 200. And really, that's all I've played on stage, more or less, for the last 10 years. So,
I love it. And are you still? Is there something still about, you know, a big? I mean, 200 watts is right at the. I mean, that's big headroom. It's not the volume, is it? It's the headroom and the dynamics, I guess, that you get. But
yes.
Do you still want to tour with that kind of backline, or have you started to see that there might be a digital alternative that might make sense?
For me, I on stage, at least for live shows, as long as I can still plug into a tube amp, I will always do that.
Right.
In my opinion, you just can't beat that. Just the way it feels, the way it sounds. I mean, you know, it's a blessing that we have all this technology now with all these great plugins out there, and I do use them a lot. I mean, right now I am running through a plugin, you know, you know, I've even managed to profile some of my sounds into that. But the thing is, and even we use it on the records too nowadays, because frankly, like if somebody plays it back to back, you know, like if they reamp a real amp and they play you, you know, a plugin, most people wouldn't even be able to hear the difference. It does make a difference when you feel that, when you play it, you know. I can still feel the difference, of course. You cannot replace the tube like that. That's a feel thing. So, yeah, going back to the question, as long as I have the chance to do it live like that, I will always run through a tube amp. And as long as I can afford a guitar tech who can set all this stuff up for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I think I am very, very slowly beginning to accept that the difference now in tone between tube amps and digital is just, it's getting like this now. The feel is, you're right, the feel is a thing. Definitely, there's a mental thing as well. I find digital holds me back sometimes. But I tell you now, if I was in your shoes and I was touring and I looked at the cost of getting, you know, 200 or 300 watt heads and 2 cabs and, you know, from across 60, 70 different tour dates, must add thousands and thousands of pounds onto the tour cost. I guess if you've got a Black Star, helping out.
It does. I mean, that's the thing. I've been lucky that the Black Star guys have supported me like that on tour. So, I mean, if I would have to start shipping all that stuff around the world, I would probably, think of other solutions. But like I said, as long as I can keep doing that, yeah. And I mean, it doesn't, and honestly, just to make it clear, it doesn't have to be a 200-watt head. I've actually been talking to Black Star for a little while now to try and make, like the signature head that we had like years ago, maybe try and bring out like a newer version at some point, like more of a lunchbox type of amp.
Yeah.
Something that's just more, more portable, I would say, like a...
Well, that HT series that they do has been amazing, and I know Jared James has had his 20-watt version done for him, and it sounds amazing. So
it can be done. That's cool. What I'm saying. Yeah.
And is your sound still, when you're using the Black Star amps, is it very much just guitar into the amps and minimal or no pedals?
It is. Yeah, correct. Like the main sound comes from the amp, and like I run a couple of pedals, like a delay pedal in the loop, a wah pedal, and sometimes I have a booster pedal, and that's about it, really.
What is that because of a guitar player that you grew up being a big fan of? That was their kind of rig, or is it just works for you?
That's the way that I've known to do things. I mean, I did try back in the day, like I did get into the whole rack mount thing. And I just decided quickly it wasn't for me. Like I tried all that, what did you call it? I had that, remember those ADA, those preamps?
ADA and ART and Digitech and all the...
Yeah.
And Boogie with the triaxes. Did you ever have one of those?
I never got
programmable...
I tried it, but I never got to buy one. I had the ADA. It was like back then you either like you have the ADA or the triaxis. It was like that kind of a thing. So I had the ADA because I saw Paul Gilbert playing it. and
So, and all the Eventide and Rocktron effects. And,
right.
I remember back then, some companies, we would sell the rack mount tuners just purely and simply because guitar players would like the fact that the lights kind of went up and down. It was just like, it's just awesome. I think, I don't know, maybe that'll come back. I think it's even coming back a little bit, isn't it, with, Fractal and Line 6 and all those kind of guys doing the...
You're right, it is. I mean, Fractal is doing that, but it's nowadays you have everything into one and all the modern, whatever, profiling technology in there, plus your effects, but... Did
you ever try and lift one of those? Mesa Boogie did like a 90-watt aside valve power amplifier in a rack, and it was just one of those things that was it weighed as much as like an AC30 on its own, and it was just like,
oh wow, no, never.
I'm sure guys like John Petrucci and stuff are even still using kind of similar stuff to that now, or just like massive rack. It's all cool. Well, look, I'm conscious of the fact that I've kept you talking for ages, but if we want to let the fans of Firewind and just general sort of rock and heavier guitar music, where can they go find out more about the band and listen to the new album?
I mean, all they have to do is basically type Firewind on Google, and our website will come up. It's firewind.gr or Firewind Official on the on Facebook and Instagram, and it's easy to find anyone today, right?
Absolutely. Well, honestly and truthfully, I really do hope that all of us collectively as guitar fans, regardless of which bands we like, maybe over the next 2 or 3 months, we should all make a conscious decision to try and buy 5 albums or 10 albums, from new artists, and just because I just think that whole, the way artists nowadays earn money is a complete 180-degree turn from what it was 15 years ago. It's like, the albums now are all, largely a cost that you don't recoup from selling the music, and all the money comes from touring and merch and stuff. Whereas, if you go back 15 years, it was completely the opposite to that. So perhaps you know, everybody out there, if you discover some new music and you're into it and you like it enough, instead of just, you know, playing it on Spotify or Apple Music 50 times, of which the artist won't even probably make 2p.
Yeah, it's like 0.005 cents or something per stream.
Yeah, I
Something like
only
that.
know this because I have two. Well, the band from Andertons has 2 songs that you can stream, and they're both covers. So I suspect probably 50% of the money goes to the writer anyway.
Yeah.
And I think they've been viewed or listened to collectively for about 300,000 or 400,000 times, you know, over the last. And I don't think I've yet made £50.
Yep, that's the reality.
It's just, that's just, you know, the money comes into the Andertons account, and morally what I should do is then pay the band. So we should split it 5 ways as well. But it's just such a pathetic amount of money. It's just not even worth splitting the money, you know. It's just
1 pint
it's just
each,
crazy.
that's it.
So yeah, buy the album. Come on, everybody, let's do this. All right, man. Well, look, or buy his guitar from Andertons, and then everybody's winning.
Actually, that'll be a really good idea. Yeah.
Man, look, I hope I get to see you before NAMM show next, but I don't know. That's assuming NAMM even goes ahead.
Yeah,
What's
that's
going on?
I don't know. You were talking about last time we met. You were talking about coming down to Greece for the summer with a wife.
We had we never booked it in the end, which was just as well. But what was the island? Was it Mykonos or something? Was the island I was asking you about?
I think you were asking me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like because I still, you know, a little plug for the Greek tourist board here. I mean, I've been to Greece. I've never been to mainland Greece. I've only ever been to the islands, but I've been 2 or 3 times to the islands, and they are just some of the most beautiful places, most hospitable people. And yeah, we were going to go again this summer, but hey, that ain't happening.
Yeah, well, there's always next year. Hopefully things are going to be back to normal then.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. Well, look, in the meantime, stay safe, stay creative.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Take care.
You too, man.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Yeah, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.